So today I want to talk about Edith Nesbit. Although she was born in 1858 and died in 1924, most of her books were written at the beginning of the 20th century. But she was everywhere in the 70s, mainly because by law the railway children had to be on every week and twice over the Christmas period, or at least that's how it seemed. There were also, of course, two wonderful TV series based on her works, as well as the Railway Children, and that was The Enchanted, Castle and Phoenix and The Carpet. And there had been a TV series based on the Railway Children in the late 60s. It was black and white. I don't think it was shown again in the 70s. But E. Nesbit was, everywhere in the 70s. Puffin had reprinted a lot of books in the 60s that were still available and being reprinted in the 70s. And for a lot of us, she was a fundamental part of our childhood. The other thing I like about Edith Nesbit, or E. Nesbit as we knew her then, it was something special to know. Hello, Dodger. Oh, there you go. So yeah, her books are in the book clubs and the libraries, and they were affordable to buy. So I read loads of E. Nesbit books, and what I like about her, I got a lot of them from my nan. She went to Staley Bridge and she'd bring me back a couple every time. So I kind of started to associate E. Nesbit with the North. But actually, she spent a lot of time in Kent, and a lot of her books are set in Kent. My third favourite place after Kent and Cornwall is London, and several of the books are set in London as well. So they're places that I can identify with. They're places that I feel quite strongly about. Sit. She spent a lot of her time in Kent growing up in Halstead House, and she also spent time later in life on Romney Marsh. As you can see, Dodger has had his summer haircut, and we both hate it, but he's still Dodger. So yeah, Edith died in Kent, and she's buried in St Mary in the Marsh, which is on Romney Marsh, linking back to some other recent videos. And you can see her grave in the churchyard. So a lot of her inspiration comes from Kent, and I just thought it might be mildly interesting to do my top 10 E. Nesbit books. One thing about Edith's books are a lot of them are very serial, very episodic. This I think partly stems from the fact that a lot of them were originally printed in magazines in instalments, and this rolled over into the books. And that's quite handy if you're making a film or a TV program. If you've got 6 episodes and there's 8 main storylines, you just cut a couple out. They don't really make much difference to the narrative. So in a lot of these stories, you can just see how something might totally be removed, and it doesn't change anything. It doesn't alter the flow of the story. These episodic stories are enjoyable. When you've read about 6 of them back to back in preparation for a video, they can get a bit confusing. But I loved them as a kid, and I've loved rereading them again recently. But you have to bear in mind that approach to storytelling that is quite common in a lot of Edith's books. So at number 10, The Last of the Dragons. This is a collection of short stories, all of which contain dragons in them. I really liked this as a kid, but I'm not so keen on it now having reread it. It is a little aimed at younger kids than the others, and whilst they're quite brattish and quite badly behaved, some of them, they don't stand up as well as I remember. I do like, though, the way they illustrate how Edith just played with words and played with concepts. And in the first one, The Last of the Dragons, it's set hundreds of years ago, long time ago, and yet by the end of it they've got cars and the first ever aeroplane. So it's that way that Edith could just say things and just use things for her, what made the story work. So number 10, Last of the Dragons. At number 9, The Railway Children. Well, it's set in Kent, despite Yorkshire's claims, and it's really famous. The reason it's at number 9 is partly there's no magic in it, and secondly, it was kind of overshadowed by the constant viewing of the film, and you're kind of just comparing the two a lot. So although it's loved by the world over, it's my number 9, The Railway Children. At number 8, The Would-Be Goods. This is the third in the, no, it's the second, this is the second in the series of the Bastable Children. Here we go. And it follows on from the New Seekers. It follows on from the Treasure Seekers. I'm not so keen on this one because it's the concept we would be good. And okay, they know they won't be, so that's why they don't call themselves we will be goods or we are the goods. But yeah, but it's fun. It's great read as a kid. Gives you some ideas of things to do. What I like about Edith's children is they misbehave. They're not goody-goodies in the way that Blyton's children were. They do say some rotten things at times. They do things that they probably shouldn't. And yeah. Also, I like the way Edith talks to kids, not at kids. The way she writes is very, like when you're reading it, especially as a kid, she feels like she's on your side. She says things that you think. She says the way that things that you might think about. You've always got to be aware that there is a slightly early 20th century attitude to people from other countries. You know, if that triggers you, then don't read them. She was a socialist and a founder member of the Fabian Society. And I don't think she was racist. But there are some stereotypes that appear from time to time. Her attitude towards gypsies is sort of partly reminiscent of general society's standards towards gypsies, but it's also linked in with a bit of understanding and a bit of, you get a feeling that she had some familiarity with gypsies and didn't really share society's prejudices against them. She could see another side. Nobody's going to pretend that all gypsies are holy and vow, but they have their own culture, their own standards, and I think that's what Edith was aware of. So that's quite interesting, and gypsies do turn up in quite a few of her stories. So anyway, number 8, The Would-Be Goods. Number 7, 5 Children and It. This one was made into a TV programme, I think, in the 90s. So I've seen it. It's not treasured in the way that, you know, Enchanted Castle and Phoenix and The Carpet are. But this was the first of a trilogy. Edith had a sort of way of writing some of her magic books where there would be a creature, be it the Samiad or the Phoenix or the Mouldywarp, and everyday children would then find magic objects or enter the world of magic largely through the intercession of this magical creature. And in this one, of course, they find the Psammead in a sand pit. He gives unwillingly. The Psammead is a sand fairy. It can grant wishes, but it takes him a lot of effort, and he's a bit grumpy and he doesn't like doing it. They agree on 1 wish a day. And then the story is just about them having their wishes and living their wishes as the wishes go wrong. It's really funny, really entertaining. It makes you think, if you could wish for anything, but the wish would end at dusk. Well, most of your wishes go out the window. Yeah. And they try, and they want to be as fair as the day, have loads of money, the usual things. What's the point of a load of money when it's gone at the end of the day? What's the point of looking as fair as the day, but not the next day? So it kind of makes you think, actually, what would be worth wishing for, but it's only going to last until sunset? So a bit thought-provoking, very enjoyable. I like to find children in it. And I should say it's set in Kent, somewhere between Rochester and Maidstone. Both of those towns appear in it, and there's quite a bit of Kentish countryside in this. There's gravel pits and chalk pits, which in the west of Kent are quite common. So yeah, nice local touches. At number 6, The Treasure Seekers. This is set in somewhere in London. Basically, the family have come on hard times, and the children decide to make their fortune. And this book is all about how they go out of their way to make money. Again, it's very episodic, and some of the ideas are quite good. Some of them are a bit scatterbrained, but it's funny. Edith writes in the first person, pretending to be one of a family. You kind of pretty quickly suss out which one it is, because he's quite vain. But it's a different way of writing it, so it's nice to read it differently. This was the first in the trilogy. The third, The New Treasure Seekers, didn't make it into the top 10. Second one was Would Be Goods. So, and a lot of Edith's families are quite similar. The Bastables. They consist of 4 children, an older brother, an older sister, and then a younger brother and a younger sister. The Bastable series didn't have magic in it, and I guess that's why it's slightly lower down my list. So entering the top 5, and at number 5, The House of Arden. Now, this one is on its own. There's no other sequel or prequel or anything featuring the same children, as far as I'm aware. This one, I think, is set on the Kent-Sussex border, and it's not as episodic. There's more of a structure to the story. This one features the Mouldy-Warp, and they go back and forth in time. I think this one's quite cleverly done. The kids are a little bit annoying, but basically the Mouldy-Warp is the family emblem. The kid finds that he's just become the next Lord Arden, and they've got to basically recover the fortunes of the family. Usual story, nicely written, plenty of magic, it's quite twisty, this one, as well. There's some elements that come into it that take a while to work out, and that's why this one's quite high up, because it isn't purely episodic in nature. There are things that weave in throughout the story, and yeah, don't know why this one isn't more famous. Really good one. At number 4, The Story of the Amulet. This is the third and final book in the trilogy featuring those lucky kids who one summer found a Samiad, in the winter they found a phoenix, and in this book, which is the following summer, they find the Samiad again, stuck in a pet shop in London. He's obviously a bit taken down a peg or two. He soon finds his own arrogance again, and this time, instead of giving wishes, because children promised that they would never ask him for another wish, instead of that, they go back and forth in time to find a half of an amulet that they find in a junk shop. Again, it's kind of weird towards the end. It's not as episodic as the others because the stories go on longer. And yeah, I prefer this one to Five Children in It because the stories are more in depth, and I like the themes behind it. I like the travelling in time. I like the way this one's written. So of the two Samiad books, this is actually my preferred one. I think another reason I like this one is the lamb isn't in it. God, how boring that baby is. And luckily in this one, the mother's ill and she's gone abroad to recuperate, and she's taken the lamb with her. Hooray! At number 3, we have Tales of Terror. I don't know if this was actually ever released as a Tales of Terror. It's first published in 1983. It's one of the few that isn't a puffin, but it's a magnet book. It's just a collection of several of Edith's scarier stories. So you've got Man Size in Marble in this one, and The Five Senses. This is kind of more grown up. This is good. There's M.R. Jamesy feel to it. There is, yeah, I really like this one. This one is the one that you want to read in November or October, coming up to Halloween. But it's a nice collection of short stories. And what's my number 3? At number 2, and you probably worked out which ones are left. So at number 2, The Phoenix and the Carpet. Possibly coloured by my memories of the TV series, but this was more readable than The Railway Children, even since I was young. Always loved The Phoenix. I don't know why they bothered to remake it, because the original was fantastic and they could have made The House of Arden instead. Love this, that whole idea of you find a carpet. Again, yeah, I'd be checking on my carpets, trying to make them fly after having read this. I like it, really funny. They go around the world, and it's a bit more like Five Children in It, in that it's very episodic, and it's just things that, adventures that go wrong. Some of them a little similar to other stories. But yeah, I like the characters in this one a lot more. They don't seem quite as priggish. So number 2, the wonderful Phoenix and the Carpet. Which means, of course, at number 1, The Enchanted Castle. Another standalone magic book. And yep, it was one of those that was serialised in the 70s. Excellent serialisation. But the book itself, I just think, really stands up. Again, it's not as episodic. There are less episodes, more to them. I like this is the only time I really think that there is a family and an outsider. And I love the way that outsider's introduced, pretending to be Sleeping Beauty. She's got a great imagination, and yeah, again, a load of magic happens to them that goes wrong. The stories are entwined, so there's things that are happening that aren't just, oh, and then the end of the day came. So really like this. It's got the famous Ugly Wugglies in it. I think a lot of people remember them from the telly, but reading them is just as good. And yeah, always been my favourite Edith Nesbit book, The Enchanted Castle. Wasn't one that you could go around the house for trying to find equivalent things, and there's no weird creature in this one to be their mentor. So that's it. It's a little different to the others. I really like it, and that's why it's my number one. I will try and do a video about the two serials at some point, and I've been planning a video on the various incarnations of the Railway Children. I think that's a bit of a way off yet. But Edith Nesbit, she was a huge part of the 70s, and I thought it'd be nice to do a short video, I don't know if it's that short anymore, about how, you know, her books and how important she was. Let us know in the comments what your favourite Edith Nesbit books are. Were there some there that you sort of should have been higher, should have been lower? Are there some that I didn't include? There is a couple that I didn't include, like the new Treasure Seekers, and I don't know, there's a book called The Magic Toy Box or something. Wasn't too keen on that. So let me know what your favourite Nesbit books are. Until next time, take care.